Good morning, Professor Town. Once again, it's great having you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Today, we will be discussing an important topic, the COVID-19 vaccines on Phase 3 trials. There have been a lot of information out there concerning the vaccines and the aspect of politics influencing its production. Today you will be offering us an insight on what is really going on with the COVID-19 vaccines in Phase 3 trials. So Professor Town, what can you tell us about the vaccines that have gotten to the Phase 3 trials?
Thanks again, Ms. Kate, for having me here. I would like to start by saying that currently we have about 10 vaccines which are at Phase 3 trials being produced by different companies. In this talk show, I will talk about the vaccines, the company producing it, and the current status of the vaccine. The first vaccine is the NVX-CoV2373 vaccine. This is a coronavirus vaccine being produced by Novavax. Novavax has bioengineered the corona spike proteins, the parts that help the virus invade cells, but cannot replicate or cause COVID-19. The vaccine is administered in 2 doses, 21 days apart. On September 2nd, a study of the company's Phase 1 trial published in the New England Journal of Medicine found that the vaccine was safe and produced coronavirus antibodies at a higher level than is seen among those who have recovered from COVID-19. It also stimulated T cells, another arm of the human immune response. On September 24th, Novavax announced the launch of its Phase 3 trials in the United Kingdom, which will evaluate vaccine in up to 10,000 people both with and underlying conditions. Up to 400 participants will also be vaccinated against the seasonal flu as part of a sub-study that will help determine whether it is safe to give patients both vaccine at the same time. The second vaccine is the J&J 78,436,735. This vaccine is currently being produced by Johnson&Johnson. Johnson&Johnson is developing an adenovirus vaccine, which introduces a piece of DNA from SARS-CoV-2 into the common cold-causing adenovirus that has been genetically changed so that it can't replicate in the body. On September 23rd, Johnson&Johnson announced the launch of a Phase 3 ensemble trial that will evaluate the safety of the vaccine and how well it works among up to 60,000 adults from a variety of countries. The trial will include significant representation from older populations and will include those with underlying conditions that make them more susceptible to COVID-19. The third one is Moderna 1273 being produced by Moderna therapeutics. This vaccine candidate relies on injecting snippets of a virus's genetic material, in this case Moderna, into human cells. They create viral proteins that mimic the coronavirus, training the immune system to recognize its presence. This technology has never been licensed for any disease. If successful, it would be the first Moderna vaccine approved for human use. This vaccine requires 2 doses, 4 weeks apart. July 27th, Moderna announced it had started the 3rd phase clinical trials, even as it continues to monitor Phase 2 results. Preliminary findings from Phase 1 have shown that healthy subjects, including elderly patients, produced coronavirus antibodies in a reaction from T cells. Phase 3 will test the vaccine in 30,000 ewes. Participants. Moderna says it is on track to deliver at least 500 million doses per year beginning in 2021, thanks in part to the deal it has struck with manufacturer Lonza that will allow it to manufacture up to 1 billion doses per year. In September, however, Moderna chief executive Stéphane Bancel told the New York Times that it was unlikely the vaccine would be widely available in the first half of 2021. The fourth one is BNT162b2, currently being produced by PFIZER. PFIZER and BioNTech are also developing a Moderna vaccine based on the German company's earlier efforts to use the technology in experimental cancer vaccines. PFIZER has signed a nearly $2 billion contract with the U.S. government to provide 100 million doses by December 2020, an agreement that goes into effect when and if the drug is approved and delivered. On July 27th, PFIZER and BioNTech launched a trial that combines Phase 2 and 3 by enrolling a diverse population in areas with significant SARS-CoV-2 transmission. It has expanded the trial to include 44,000 people across multiple countries. The project is aiming to seek regulatory review before the end of the year and hopes to supply 1.3 billion doses by the end of 2021. Preliminary results of Phase 1 and 2 data shows the vaccine produces antibodies and T-cell responses specific to the SARS-CoV-2 protein. The fifth one is ChAdOx1-CoV-19, currently being produced by the University of Oxford. Oxford's candidate is what's known as a viral vector vaccine, essentially a Trojan horse, presented to the immune system. Oxford's research team has transferred the SARS-CoV-2 spike protein which helps the coronavirus invade cells into a weakened version of an adenovirus, which typically causes the common cold. When this adenovirus is injected into humans, the hope is that the spike protein will trigger an immune response. AstraZeneca and Oxford plan to produce 1 billion doses of the vaccine that they have agreed to sell at cost. Preliminary results from the candidate's first 2 clinical trial phases revealed that the vaccine had triggered a strong immune response, including increased antibodies and response from T cells with only minor side effects such as fatigue and headache. It is in Phase 3 of clinical trials, aiming up to 50,000 volunteers in Brazil, the United Kingdom, the United States, and South Africa. On September 8, AstraZeneca paused the trials for a safe review due to an adverse reaction in one participant in the UK. The details remain unclear, though the company has described the pause as a routine action. After an investigation by independent regulators, the trial resumed in the UK, Brazil, South Africa and India, but on hold in the US. As of September 23, the sixth vaccine is Coronavac, currently being produced by Sinovac. Coronavac is an inactivated vaccine, meaning it uses a non-infectious version of the coronavirus. While inactivated pathogens can no longer produce disease, they can still provoke an immune response, such as with the annual influenza virus. On July 3, Trials Regulatory Agency granted this vaccine candidate approval to move ahead to Phase 3, as it continues to monitor the results of the Phase 2 trials. Preliminary results in macaque monkeys, published in Science, revealed that vaccine produced antibodies that neutralized 10 strains of SARS-CoV-2. Science has also released preprint results of its Phase 2 human trials that likewise showed the vaccine produced antibodies with no severe adverse reaction. Phase 3 will recruit nearly 9,000 healthcare professionals in Brazil. Sinovac will also conduct Phase 3 trials in Indonesia and Bangladesh. The seventh vaccine is none, being produced by Sinopharm. Sinopharm is also using an inactivated SARS-CoV-2 vaccine that it hopes will reach the public by the end of 2020. Preliminary findings from 2 randomized trials, published in JAMA, has shown the vaccine can trigger an antibody response with no serious adverse effects. The study did not measure T-cell mediated immune responses. These results are significant, though, as they are the first published data from human clinical trials for a COVID-19 vaccine that uses a whole, inactivated virus. On July, Sinopharm launched its first Phase 3 trial among 15,000 volunteers aged 18 to 60, with no serious underlying conditions. In the United Arab Emirates, Sinopharm will also undertake Phase 3 trials in locations such as Peru and Bahrain. The eighth vaccine is the Bacillus calmette-guerin brace trial. For nearly 100 years, the Bacillus calmette-guerin vaccine has been used to prevent tuberculosis by exposing patients to a small dose of live bacteria. Evidence has emerged over the years that this vaccine may boost the immune system and help the body fight off other diseases as well. Researchers are investigating whether these benefits may also extend to SARS-CoV-2, and this trial has reached Phase 3 in Australia. Though as of April 12th, the WHO says there is no evidence that the BCG vaccine protects people against infection with the coronavirus. In April, researchers from the Murdoch Children Research Institute began a series of randomized controlled trials that will test whether BCG might work in the coronavirus as well. They aim to recruit 10,000 healthcare workers in the study. The ninth vaccine is the Ad5-CoV being developed by CanSino Biologics. CanSino has also developed a viral vector vaccine using a weakened version of the adenovirus as a vehicle for introducing the SARS-CoV-2 spike protein to the body. Preliminary results from Phase 2 trials, published in The Lancet, have shown that the vaccine produces significant immune responses in the majority of recipients after a single immunization. There were no serious adverse reactions documented, though the company was still technically in Phase 2 of its trial. On June 25th, CanSino became the first company to receive limited approval to use its vaccine in people. The Chinese government has approved the vaccine for military use only, for a period of 1 year. On August 15, Russian biopharmaceutical company Petrovax announced it had launched the first Phase 3 clinical trial of Ad5-Cov. The 10th vaccine is Sputnik V, being developed by the Gamaleya National Center of Epidemiology and Microbiology. Gamaleya has developed a viral vector vaccine that also uses a weakened version of the common cold-causing adenovirus to introduce the SARS-CoV-2 spike protein to the body. This vaccine uses strains of adenovirus, and it requires a second injection after 21 days to boost the immune response. Russia has not published any data from its clinical trials, but officials with the institute state that they have completed Phase 1 and 2. The researchers also claim the vaccine produced strong antibody and cellular immune responses. Despite lack of published evidence, Russia has cleared the Sputnik V vaccine for widespread use and claimed as the first registered COVID-19 vaccine on the market. Russia reports that it will start Phase 3 clinical trials on August 12th. The WHO, however, lists the Sputnik V vaccine as being in Phase 1 of trials.
Thank you very much, Professor Tan, for making out time to explain all these. Once again, we are happy to have had you on the stage with us today. To follow up on our talk shows, please click on the subscribe button on the right and the like button on the left.